You are watching and listening to Bishop Brothers, a safe space where real issues being dealt with by real people are brought forth and discussed. Every week, the fire of love is lit as two 21st century bishops share the first century church message. Join and engage in the conversation, featuring grassroots interviews, book reviews, and God-inspired commentary. Here are your hosts, Aaron and John, Bishop and Bishop, Chief and Chief. But above all, they are brothers. Welcome aboard.
There he is, Bishop Dr. John.
Hey,
how you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic. Quarantined.
Quarantine and man, locked down, huh?
That's right. That's right.
Got a little more room than the submarine, though, right?
A little bit, and windows and fresh air, and so it's.
Well, I heard the rumor that you're running now, huh? You're.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, running is relative.
Right.
I mean,
right.
what I consider running today is definitely not what I considered running a couple years back. So.
Oh yeah, you know that mean, but you're still running for Jesus. That's
yeah, that's right. Yep.
So how it is, still to give us a little updates on. I see you said some stats earlier, but give us a little updates on using the He's a Texan, but he's from Washington State, and he was giving us some updates on y'all are flattening the curve or getting close to flattening the curve.
Yeah. So I mean, it is shrinking. The curve is definitely going down, which is good. Today, or as of yesterday, in a 24-hour period, we only had like 280 cases, which is really good for us because at one point there was one day where we had almost 1,800 in a day. So the social distancing is working, and we're pretty strict about it up here, which is okay. Yeah. And it is helping. You can't deny. And our deaths are going down too. We're not having as many unfortunate people are still dying. And even the University of Washington just based on our social distancing protocols, they redid their simulation of how many people they thought would die, and it got cut almost in half. So that's really good. We're doing the best we can up here. Everyone's wearing face masks now. When you go outside, you wearing a face mask, and in the military, we're required to wear them when we're at work. So,
right. And the senior governor shut down the schools, right?
He did. So the governor up here decided that school's going to be shut down until next year, which it's kind of hard on the kids, especially my kids, because we're going to be relocating here soon, or they will be, and so they won't get to see their friends as much. But it's the right thing to do, and I know people are sad that I feel for them. You got seniors that don't get to do their track season and things like that. And I'll be the first one to admit I don't agree with the Governor Inslee on a lot of stuff, but I do. I definitely appreciate how he's handled this. I may not agree on a lot of things, but I think he's done well with the coronavirus. So, yeah, but we're doing okay.
That's good. We are here in Texas. This year in Texas, we haven't been testing much. We have I sent out a graph that we have a real small percentage of people that's been tested, have not been tested, and it's all kind of things about that. But the key is, we're staying at home and, trying to do our part to help society. We live in this world. We're part of this world. And by being a part of this world, we have responsibility in this earth realm. We serve God in the spirit and truth, but we're human beings too. We're flesh and blood. So, tonight is going to be a show. We're going to talk about straight out of context is a segment that we do out of context of people taking things out of context. And what I see a lot out of context is fear. This word fear been going around, walking in fear, or people fearful and things like that. So we're going to look at this from a biblical perspective and also a common sense perspective of dealing with things. Are you fearful about them for things, or how they walk in fear, godly fear, and breaking down the context of what the Bible is saying truly about fear and how to operate in that,
right
situation.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that when we start throwing this word fear around, we got to be careful with that, because I think right now we're kind of throwing it around, and I can only speak for the Christian church because that's kind of where I'm at. But we're using this word to try to convince people that if you're not willing to go to church, you're not willing to put it all on the line, then you're not really a Christian, or you're not really doing what God's called you to do. And I don't think that's true at all. And, as everybody knows, I'm a huge theology geek. I enjoy looking at stuff from the Hebrew and Greek perspectives, because without those perspectives, you get things like this, where people use verses that we're going to bring up here and we're going to break down. And they'll use these verses to convince people they need to come to church because scripture says that they're going to be okay. And I think hopefully by the end of this part, what you're going to see is coronavirus will kill you, Christian.
Yeah.
Coronavirus doesn't care about your faith group. Now, the realities of that, or the consequences of that, or theological ramifications of that, that's all fun. That's all fun and great things to talk about. But the reality of the matter is, this will kill you. And if you don't take it seriously, it will kill you. Yes. There's no other way to nicely say that. So, but since I keep hearing and I keep seeing, especially four verses in particular about why people should continue to go to church, even though they've been told not to, even though there are governors who have decided to make church essential, I'm going to give a theologically based argument for why, one, these scriptures are taken straight out of context, and why it's necessary to understand these scriptures. So, if you look at what we got up here, that song's just been playing in my head all day today. I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I'm a child of God. And I do believe to understand fear in context, you have to understand the context of the word fear, and what it meant in the Bible. So if you go to the next slide. What you'll see is the word fear appears about 296 times in the NASB Bible. Okay. And in every instance, when we're talking about specifically the word fear, when it's translated in English, the word for fear is summed up in one of the following two words. It's either yareh in Hebrew, or phobeo, or phobio, where we get the word phobia in Greek. Okay. In English, the definition of fear, this is from Merriam-Webster as of 3 hours ago, is it's an unpleasant and often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. Okay. Now look at that definition. So an English speaker, us, that is when we say the word fear, that's what we mean. We mean an unpleasant or strong emotion, fear. Okay. Now, if you look at the word in Hebrew, yareh, right, the definition is to fear. So the first part of the definition is what we feel, which is a feeling. But in addition to that, it means awed to the point of withdrawing. It can be either something good or something bad. For example, fearing the snake bite, or fearing the power of the king, right? It can be a good thing. The fear of the Lord is a good thing. And the word Yahweh is used there. Okay. So fear in the Greek, right, is the word phobeo. Definition means to fear, withdraw, flee from, or avoid, right? Now, if you go to the next slide, notice in English, the word provokes an emotional reaction. So it's important to remember with English speaking people, we even our language, we lead with emotion. Okay. Scripture does not do that. Scripture, because it comes from Hebrew and Greek, leads with action. Okay. So in the Hebrew and Greek, the word provokes a physical emotion, physical and an emotional reaction. Hebrew and Greek they are older languages, and they are focused far more on action rather than emotion. So already, just in looking at the word, we haven't even looked at any scripture yet. So already there is a difference in how we view fear as English speaking American citizens in 2020, and how the writers of the Greek 2,000 years ago, and the writers in Hebrew 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, how they viewed the word fear, okay, and the emotion and the feeling of fear. Okay, so phobeo generates that wanting to flee, to physically remove yourself from fleeing, overwhelmed. It also can mean not adequate to meet the situation. Okay, that's important when we start talking about the actual verses. Yare, to fear, awed to the point of withdrawing, either from something good or bad, depending on the context. It's often used for a respectful fear or an awe-based reverence. Okay, versus irrational fright. So especially in the Hebrew, we're not talking about an irrational fright or arachnophobia, right? We're not talking about a fear of spiders. We're talking about an awe-based reference, right? And a reverence. Okay, so that's important. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see fear the emotion versus fear the action. So it's important to remember English speakers feel fear, right? When someone asks you are afraid, you usually will say, yes, I feel afraid. Ancient speakers experienced fear. Okay. And you can tell anyone who's the difference between feeling fear and experienced fear is very, very different. Okay. Now, both are very real. I'm not saying people sitting in their homes right now afraid of coronavirus. That's a real fear, It's a healthy fear. But we feel that before we live it. Okay. In the ancient world, they experienced it. And then from those experiences, they felt it. Right. And so with later generations, hey, don't mess with the snake. It'll bite you. Okay. So, but just remember, this means using fear in verses in English context without understanding the difference. It will take the scripture, it will take the word straight out of context, right? So let's look at some biblical examples in English. Okay, so these are verses that I picked based on arguments that I have seen online about why people should still go to church, okay, in the middle of this coronavirus. Okay, so here we go. Genesis 26:24, it says, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Okay. Joshua 1:9, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous, and do not fear or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Okay. New Testament, that's actually 2 Timothy 1:7. For God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of peace, love, and a sound mind. Now that one has been thrown all over, at least Facebook. We're not supposed to live in fear. We're supposed to go to church. We can't be in the spirit of fear. Okay. Hebrews 13:6 says, so that we confidently say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What will man do to me? Okay. So all these verses have been used to convince people that they're not going to church because they're in fear, and that's a sin. Okay. The problem is, and we're gonna get into each one of these, is a misunderstanding of context. Okay. So English to Hebrew context. So these verses are being used with churches to explain why they're remaining open. Because the Bible tells them not to fear. And on first read, when you look at those, okay, I can see your argument. When you look at one verse out of context without the rest of the chapter, Okay, I won't argue with that. That's what it says when you cherry pick. As we will see, taking these scripture, you're taking these straight out of context. We will also see that what we are actually doing is tempting God to protect us.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure Jesus made it very clear to Satan in a verse, I don't know, maybe out of the Gospels, where he said, "You will not tempt the Lord."
The
your
Lord,
God.
thy God. That's right.
It is written,
Right.
right? And so we'll talk about that. The fact remains, you will catch coronavirus if you're exposed to it, and you may not get sick from it, but you will pass it on, and you will kill people. That's the reality, right?
Right.
That and I'm gonna show you how Scripture actually backs that up when we start talking about fear in the Bible. So let's talk about Genesis 26:24. Okay, so here in English, it says, and the Lord appeared to him that night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear. Okay. In English, this means have no fear because God is with you. If as an English speaker, if I was speaking to another English speaker and I said, do not fear, God is with you. Right? That means whatever you're feeling right now, you don't have to feel that way because God is with you.
Right.
Okay. That is not the intention of the Hebrew here. In Hebrew, if we look at this scripture, in a straight Hebrew to English translation, it says, and appeared unto him the Lord the same night and said, I am the God of Abraham, your father. Do not be awed to the point of withdrawing, for I am with you. Okay, this type of fear is the fear of need. Now remember how Hebrew viewed the word fear, right? When this is being said, the need to withdraw, right? The fear of the Lord, where you feel like you're not worthy, like you don't belong, like you're not worthy enough to be around the presence of God, right? The person that we're discussing here is trying to withdraw from the presence of God because he doesn't feel worthy. That's what we're talking about here in context. What God is saying, he's saying, I'm the God of Abraham, your father. Do not be awed to the point of withdrawing. I'm with you. I want you here. Okay. It's not saying to go into the world and not be afraid. Right. It's saying don't withdraw from me. Right. That has nothing to do with being afraid of the world, being afraid of the coronavirus, being afraid of not going to church. Right. If you need church to not withdraw from God, we do not serve the same God. My God is not so small that he is contained within a church. I don't have to go to a church to find God. And what God is saying here is don't withdraw from me. So a better way to look at that in our current situation is, even though you can't go to church, even though you can't be around the things that you're used to having, don't withdraw from me. You got a Bible, you have Google, crack it open, look, right? Don't withdraw from me. Don't run from me. That is what God's talking about here. It's not a challenge. You don't be afraid and go walk and handle snakes and lick people with the coronavirus and do stuff like that. No, because that's unrealistic. You're tempting God at that point. Okay. So that's Genesis 27. That's one that I've seen thrown out there a lot. That's one of those smaller ones. This one's thrown out a bunch. Joshua 1:9. Okay. It says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be dismayed. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Right off the bat here, this is a bad English translation. Okay. And believe it or not, the word fear is not used even in the King James. Right. This is usually your more like the Message, more thought for thought, vice word for word translations. Okay. The word fear here is a very bad translation. It's not the word yareh in Hebrew. Like we just discussed, the word fear in Hebrew is yareh. The word actually used here is aras, which means to cause trembling, terror-stricken, terrified by intimidating force, which is ruthless and tyrannical, acting in utter disregard of laws or the rights of others, versus God's perfect use of force, which also strikes terror. You see how all these words off of the word? One of the things we forget about Hebrew is it's such a visceral language, and it's such a basic language because it's an ancient language. It doesn't describe things the way English does.
More freely type.
In order for you to know what eros means, you have to live in the moment. You had to have been there, is really to fully understand the full force of this. Okay. In the context, this force is not, it's not a virus. It's not going to church or not. The force is the Philistines.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You have to remember what was just happening with Joshua. Moses had just died. Joshua was given command.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Joshua was afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He wanted to withdraw because he didn't feel worthy.
Mm-hmm.
What God is telling him right here is don't be terror stricken. Don't be terrified by what I'm asking you to do. Okay. Joshua had every right to fear. The Philistines outnumbered him. He was going in. If you've dealt with any type of how combat works, or when you have to go into the enemy's backyard and deal with them, that's exactly what Joshua had to do. He had every right to be afraid. Okay. And God is validating that here. He's not saying don't be afraid, right? Because fear is actually a very valuable tool. What he's saying is don't be terrified to the point where you want to withdraw from your responsibility here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Joshua had every right to fear, but not to tremble in the face of the enemy. We must fear the virus and its ability to kill. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? I'm an at-risk guy. I have respiratory issues. I'm going to wear a face mask. I'm not going to go to service on Sunday. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
What we can't do is be terrorized of this to the point where it shakes our faith, or we stop looking in scripture, or we stop finding ways to get together. Right. You know, the Lord created these amazing people who created this thing called Zoom that we're on right now.
Yeah.
Right. All this technology. Don't be terrorized by this. Right. It's okay to have fear. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to withdraw from society a little bit, because what's being passed around can kill you, or worse, it can kill others because of your irresponsibility.
Right.
Right. But we don't have to tremble. That's the lesson here. It's not about being afraid. It's about understanding that God is in control.
Amen.
And if I could explain, like, if there's one major theme of the Old Testament, see, we get all focused on, when we talk about the creation epic, we get all focused on, well, how long is a day? Was it 10,000 years? Was it 1,000,000 years? Was it 24 hours? And we're missing the point of that scripture when we go down those roads. What God is trying to explain to us is, I am this powerful that I can create all this from nothing.
Right.
We're missing the point because we're trying to apply Western concepts to it. We want dates, times, the who, what, when, where, why, when all God is trying to say is, look how powerful I am. Look at what I am capable of doing. I have created everything. Right. And we're missing the point here when we throw out verses like this. God is not saying, prove that you're not afraid by going out into the world and putting yourself at risk. What he's saying is, don't be terrorized by this. You serve a mighty God that is bigger than the coronavirus. But when God sends us medical professionals and science and these things that help us stay healthy, and we choose to tempt those things, well, God, Jesus said it himself. You will not tempt the Lord your God. And when you do, there are dire consequences to that. And we're seeing it all over the place right now. There's a church in Arkansas they decided to have service. Yeah. And now they've got 35 people with the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. The church in South Korea, which that cluster is what started the cluster in Seattle, right? Because they held a massive church service. Mm-hmm. Well, these are the consequences of tempting the Lord. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's head on to the next one here. Okay, so this one's probably been used the most. Okay, 2 Timothy 1:7, English, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of peace, love, and a sound mind. Again, fear, terrible translation here. That's not the word that's used here. The word is not phobios, but delia, meaning reticence. Now, I bet without looking up here, a lot of people don't know what the word reticence actually means. And it means inclined to be silent or uncommunicative in speech, right? A better translation here is timidity. I've seen that one out there. God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but of peace, love, and a sound mind. Basically, God did not give us a spirit of uncommunicative speech. His words should make us loud proponents. Right? That's what should occur. This isn't about the fear or an emotion or trying to prove yourself. This is about not being silenced. And Western church, American church, I'm here to tell you right now, just because the governor won't let you hold service, you're not being silenced. You don't.
Right.
We don't really have a concept here in this, in our arena here in the United States. We don't really understand what it's like to actually be silenced.
Yeah.
We're not being silenced. You can get on Zoom, you can get on Facebook Live, there's so many ways that you can be loud. But if you choose to be uncommunicative in your speech, you choose to be recitative because you can't be in your building and you can't have your creature conference, then guess what? That spirit didn't come from God. This spirit of we got to be in church, we can't do anything over the airwaves, we can't do anything. If your God is that small, once again, we do not serve the same God.
Right.
We're talking about two different gods here. Right. And I'm telling you, my God's the only God. So you don't really serving a God, you're serving yourself. Okay. So if the building being shut down makes you reticent, it's not about God. It's about you, your money, and your building. And that spirit is not from God. So please, people, quit using 2 Timothy 1:7 to prove a point. You're actually proving my point by using this scripture. You're allowing a spirit of recitativeness or a spirit of timidity to silence you. Right? You're actually fulfilling the verse. That's what I love about scripture. It's going to fulfill itself.
Right.
And unfortunately, you are proving that this spirit didn't come from you. So this last verse, Hebrews 13:6, so that we confidently say, the Lord is my helper, I will not fear. What will man do to me? Right. This one has been used a couple times when a couple churches have been told you will not meet, and they chose to meet anyway. They said, Lord is my helper, I will not fear. Okay, it should sound familiar. The author of Hebrews is citing David in the 23rd Psalm. In context, what is the fear here? What does he mean by I will not fear? Well, you have to remember why he wrote this. He wrote this to Hebrew Christians that were being persecuted by the Jewish church in Jerusalem at the time. Okay, so what he's actually saying is fear is shying away from the gospel because of what man may do to you. Okay, in this instance, it's Roman officials, it's Jewish officials. This was not about being afraid. This was not about being afraid of death for the gospel's sake, not ignoring the law because it makes you uncomfortable, right? So really what he's saying here is, in context, this means we will not be afraid of those who violently oppose the gospel. Okay, and once again, church, being told you can't go to your building on Sunday, that is not violent opposition to the gospel. Please pick up a book, pick up a history book, look at what's going on in China, look at what's going on in Nigeria, look at what's going on in the Sudan. You will find,
we have in the first century church. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, go look at the history of our church in the first century under Rome, and then you will fully understand what it means to not be afraid to die for the gospel's sake. You may feel like you're dying because you're stuck in your room, but that's not what this is talking about. Okay, it means that those who violently oppose the gospel may take your life away, but man can't take away your eternity. Man cannot take away what's been promised to you. But I promise you this, the coronavirus can take away your life, and it can take away the lives around you. The promise here isn't a pass from death. And this is that prosperity, and I'm just going to say it, this is that prosperity crap that keeps getting spewed out of the mouths of preachers everywhere. It's this Americanized, Jesus is a lottery ticket type of filth that's coming out of people, which is saying, the coronavirus, this is our chance to, name it and claim it. We're gonna claim that it's not going to hurt me. I'm telling you, it will hurt you and it will kill you. And the prosperity gospel will absolutely ruin your soul. And that's what we have here. The gospel is not that Jesus came to redeem us from our problems and the viruses and the struggles that happen in this world. Jesus came to redeem us from sin. And simply put, you have to make a decision, Christian. You have to decide, is that enough for me? Is the redemptive work of Jesus Christ enough for me? And if it is not, we don't serve the same God. You have to understand that if redemption for your soul is not enough, nothing's ever going to be enough. So please, pastors, bishops, people, stop please go read your Bibles. Please go get some education. Go to your mentors. Talk to them about this stuff. I'm telling you, what you're using these for, what you're using these verses to do is heresy, right? Because you don't understand the original context of your own book.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not willing to take the time to understand the context of your own scriptures, why would anybody else do that that's not a Christian?
That's right.
So, so my message is stop going to the building. Give it a couple months. Trust me, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to your choir. The tithe bucket will get passed back around. I promise. I promise it's coming back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I hope, yeah.
But not today. It's not going to happen today.
Well, I hope it don't come back as we had it, because it, there was a problem. I hope it doesn't, and that's what I've been saying is, this return from normalcy. The people that's screaming about this fear, is they are in fear, because you are challenging people and ridiculing a situation. Look, God called me to die for him. God called me to be willing to die for my neighbor. God did not call me to die for coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
God did not call me to go out there and get challenge coronavirus and see who's going to win. I'm going to say it again. God did not call me to go out there and challenge coronavirus and see who's going to win because I want to prove a point that this is a hoax or not. Mm-hmm. God did not call me to prove hoax. God did not call me to prove conspiracy theories. God did not call me to prove if this person did, if it's a bioweapon. God did not call me to do that. God has called me. God has said the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And because I fear the Lord, I understand what he called me to do. And God did not call me to prove anything. And you reckless, irresponsible people who are ridiculing people or saying people who are dying and death is moving across this land, and you got the audacity to sit there and say this is almost a joke, and why you should be people want to go do this and do this. No, my job is to understand, to give people the fear of the Lord. It's the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. I'm saying it again, the Bible said it. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I got some slides that my slides are going to be totally different than Bishop Dr. John G. He gave us a great lesson, a theological lesson, and what fear is. But I'm just trying to bring the common sense to what fools despise wise instruction. So therefore, I am not called to be a fool. I'm not trying to call to be a fool for you. And you people who are calling people who are laughing about or ridiculing in any type of way, anybody gets sick by them saying, well, it's not, this been around. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the bullet that goes to tears through your daughter, your son. Doesn't matter where it came from. The results is causing damage and destruction. And that's what it is. And so when we look at this situation, I think about what we wrote in our statement at EC Global, our statement to the world, and it says, by faith, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear, built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir to the righteous that in keeping with faith. By fear, Noah moved. See, faith moves you. Fear paralyzes you. I'm gonna say it again. But his fear, but having godly fear, he understood that what God was told him. Now let's just get about Noah. Now we've seen the evidence of this virus in other nations. It wasn't evidence that it was going to rain at this time. He had no physical evidence. He had no data, I should say, to point to and say, well, this is real or not real. So the notion that people are supposed to just dismiss things and do it because we're uncomfortable, we don't want to get our comfort zones, and then you want to be irresponsible and reckless and have people challenging it. Oh, this is not, and these people not getting, that people not getting, don't trust the government. Well, it's not about trusting the government. You should verify everything. You should be verifying what your mama's saying. You should be verifying what your grandmother said, because some of y'all still living on what grandmother said and the lies and the rumors she said and she didn't know and all that kind of stuff. You should be verifying that. You should, not just the government, you should verify what your preacher's saying on Sunday morning, because some of y'all just call it what he's saying and the performance of what they're saying, and you don't verify anything. But all of a sudden now we need the verification. So I'm supposed to go out here and put myself at risk verifying if this real or not. That is not wisdom. That is not being, and that's not a leader. That's not showing leadership. Leadership is saying, you know what? What's the wisdom out of this? What is God doing this? How am I supposed to lead and be example to the flock of the people of God and not put them at risk in a situation like this? So no, God ain't Oh, then what's going around here is toxic theology.
Yes.
So it's a theology of toxic theology, trying to prove something, demand something, or you know what, let me be the voice, because see, I'm really scared, I'm really in fear, but I want to act like I'm not in fear. I want to act like, you know what, I'm not, you know, I got it going on, man. I don't know, I ain't scared of corona. The government trying to scare y'all ain't got no faith. See y'all running. See the church ain't real. The church ain't this and that. The kingdom of God is within you. It's not for me to prove something real or not real. See, I don't have to prove anything to you about my walk with God, because he walks with me and talks to me. Because see, when I didn't have God, you, the person who's saying I need to prove something to God, didn't come and do nothing for me. You didn't get me out of the miry clay. You didn't take me out of the bars and running around stuff. You didn't do that. God did that. So I don't have to prove anything to you. But this toxic theology going around and trying to, you know what, y'all run, the church is running scared. Buildings and all this kind of stuff has nothing to do with a relationship with God. It's about God within you. And so your toxicity that you're spewing, your toxicity, anything that's toxic in your body destroys you. Anything that's toxic in your mind destroys you. And the only thing that's going around here is a bunch of toxicity with the people who gonna do this. When you get sick and get infected, all thing they're going to send you is thoughts and prayers. If they send you that, they're not going to send you no money. They're not going to pay your medical bill. They're not going to go visit you in the hospital. They're not going to do this. They're going to just say, oh, thoughts and prayers. And then they're going to say, then they're going to try to lie and say, well, I meant this, I meant that. I didn't really mean you should go and put yourself in harm's way. And I was really saying this, and you know, I didn't really mean you should go out there and do this here. But you know what I was saying, you know, just trust God and have faith, you know, go to church. But see, if you get sick in church, well, I didn't really mean if you go to church. I was just saying, you know what, you shouldn't be scared of the government line, and they got a conspiracy in China and Africa, and all these countries are conspiring. And this is a bioweapon, and you know, well, you should go out there and just have church anyway, because they're trying to take you from the house. The government's trying to take your church away. The government trying to take your guns away. Everybody. It's just a bunch of toxicity with no then I no doubt and I approval. You know, all every TV station, every news reporter, everybody in conspiracy, the Muslims, the Jews, and Christians and Buddhists, and all of them lying about the numbers. Don't believe those numbers. These people ain't dying. They ain't dying. This stuff been around here. You know, it's like, but what are you gonna do for me if it's true? Nothing. So, you know, I look at this here.
Oh, this made me sad, man. I can't even look at that guy.
I'm like, you know, look what they're saying. You're destroying the virus. Like, you know, you're describing this as a magic spell, and if you want, and you're blowing, it is finished. It is over. No, you know what is finished? What is finished is that Jesus died on the cross. We celebrate Easter coming Sunday, right? See that Jesus died on the cross, on an old Roman cross many years ago. And because of what he did, he said, to my Father, I commit my spirit. And he committed his spirit to the Father. And when he finished that, now I have a right. What it finished is that to know that nothing has any power over me. But the notion that you, like a magic spell, that you can put, that you can blow it away just because you get on TV and you close your eyes and you shut and you demand things, you execute. How can you execute judgment over something you can't control? God is in control. You don't have no control over COVID-19. No human being has control over a virus. God is in control. So the God I serve is in control. So therefore, I serve him. So therefore, I know if this is not being controlled by man, why would I go and put myself in harm's way for something that you cannot execute? You execute judgment on you. COVID-19, what is COVID-19 a person? You're gonna kill it. You issued a death sentence. No, it is finished. It is over. Oh, so now because you said that, you claim that I'm supposed to go outside because you said that, and then see, this is fear. See, this is fear because see, you fear the loss of your income. You fear the loss of people getting sick and stuff like that, and they're not gonna go to your church, and you're not gonna be able to get your jets and your buildings like that. You can't pay your TV stations. You are fearing, and so you want them to put at risk because you want them to walk in foolishness.
That's right.
And you want them to walk in recklessness. You want them to walk in false hope, not the true hope. See, false hope is worse than fear, because false hope have you believe in something that is totally a lie anyway.
Yeah.
But it's false. That's why the Bible said there are going to be false prophets among you. False prophets, look at the screen. False
Yeah.
prophets tell you
Take a peek.
honest thing because they want it for filthy liquor. They don't care about the sheep. They don't care about the 99, the one that's lost. They care about the 99. If you get lost out here, they don't care. If you die out here, they don't care because they are false prophets. And so therefore, how are you going to be a proclaimer? You say that you love God and you love people. How are you going to be a proclaimer of the gospel when you are nothing but a false prophet? If you willingly put people at risk, talking about you're going to just poof, this thing is gone, like it's some kind of magic. That's a lie.
Yeah. What kills me about him,
Yeah.
what you got to, and oh man, now you're making me super sad with all these morons.
Yeah.
So, but that's their theology. See, and that's that prosperity theology it's so toxic because part of that prosperity theology is, well, the reason you got COVID-19 is because you don't trust Jesus enough. You don't love the Lord. You don't fear. See, that it plays right into their hands of, well, if you get it and you die, well, that just means you didn't trust God enough. And if you get it and you're healed, it's because I healed you. See, it's all a big game of money to them.
But see, that's why I got my next slide. See, you read that? See, none of these people are all these people. Are you going to the hospital?
Yeah.
COVID? Are you going without PPE on, without your mask on? Are you going to go and lay your hands? See, the Bible I read said when the leper came to Jesus, Jesus just healed the leper, and the Bible said he was healed. And so, but are you? If it's gone, are you going to the hospital in New York City? And if it's a lie, if it's a magic trick, if it's a spell, why aren't you going to laying hands on these people in the hospital? Why there's plenty of hospitals. Go to New Orleans, go to New York, go to Seattle. There's plenty of people sit there, right, Bishop G? They're sitting
Plenty.
there. Go lay hands on them. Go touch them. You're not gonna do it because you're a false prophet. You just want people to do what you see. A false prophet. These ain't nothing but cult leaders. This is cult religion. You need to call my personality. And so therefore what a cult leader always does when their power or control is lost. See, I can't control you now because they're saying stay at home and you're scared right now. So I'm losing power and control over you. So I'm trying to I'm gonna trick you to believe in me, because look and understand, they always want you to believe in them, not God. Right. Believe in. See, I see a poof and the magic spell is gone, just like the Kool-Aid will not kill you. And so they destroy you. But none of these people line up any hospital and go and laying hands on nobody. I guarantee you go to their home, they got all kind of sanitizer there. Y'all are looking at fun. They got all kind of stuff, but they'll have you believing in a false doctrine, a lying doctrine, because they're nothing but cult leaders. They don't care about you. It's about what's happening now. This is not about COVID for them. Their ministry is being messed up. They're losing money. They're losing control. They're losing. It's not about you. They're losing. So they want you to risk their life for them, because ultimately they build their ministries off the fear that you have, that what they say is not true, not the fear of God. And so that's what Dr. King told us. Really what we're scared of and what they're promoting, you're scared of your social club. And that's what this stuff is. It's promoting men. And that's why they're saying, oh, I can deal with it. But you know what? No, come pray for me. Call them up. You've been affected. Call them up and see if they're going to go and pray for you. You'll be disappointed. You don't see these faith leaders working in hospitals.
Nope.
For the same reason, you don't see psychics win a library. If y'all, these psychics, these prophets who prophesied coronavirus was going to come, you're saying you prophesied. See, I said some words.
I knew about it.
I said some words floating around, some words about the wind of change comes there. Now, I prophesied. No, won't you? They don't. They're liars. They're not lying. They just the same reason why you don't see psychics win lottery, because you know what? You don't know. You don't know the number. You don't know. You have no healing power, because the power is all about you. Psychics, you can only see through a glass door. You don't know the winning line number, because you knew the winning line number. You'll get the number and you'll win. So we need to stop talking. And so people who are floating this, they're laughing about people dying. They're wondering about this. They're saying this ain't happening. See, you are part of that false doctrine that to get people killed, because people believe in you and trust you, and you so reckless out of the will of God, making a joke and a mockery out of humanity. You know what? There's a prime minister I know, you might have heard of his name, named Boris Johnson. He said, I'm going to keep shaking hands. and this is Ted's story. He said, I'm gonna keep shaking hands. And guess where he sits right now in the UK? He's in ICU.
That's right. Yeah. I mean,
You know, I got this one up here. You know, it's like, oh, they saying, well, you know, y'all scared of this coronavirus. You know, they got y'all scared. You can't go to church now, scared, and you know, y'all scared. You know what? Well, you know what? I work at a school, and guess what? You know, when I went to school back in many moons ago, back in the 70s, and 80s, I'm aging myself now. Back in the 70s, and 80s, you know what? The only time you see a police officer, Bishop G, is when they come to pick somebody up. They just went after school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, guess what? All y'all people say, you know what, fear, you know, don't have no fear of coronavirus. Well, you know what? If your child, something happened to your child at school, and they didn't have police officers and security plan in place, you'll be the first one that's going to sue them, because won't they just say, you know what, we're not going to have no security at school. We love everybody. We're not going to trust everybody. Let's just let everybody walk into school. Well, look at all these schools you see around here. That school should. You don't think those schools do different plans right now? Security plan right now? Yes, they do, because you know what? It's not about fear. It's about fact. The fact of the matter is, in the United States of America, as a person who served, I'm trying to make this point, as a person who served in the military, I have a more chance of dying in a school. I ain't got nobody now, kind of quiet now. Yeah. I got much chance of dying in a school building that I did when I was serving in the military. Do I walk around in fear? No, I walk to those schools every day. I don't walk in fear, but you are doggone skipping that. I want police officers there. I want security protocol. I want protection there, so I have a chance to live. I'm not walking in fear. I'm not living in fear. But the notion, and if you're alive as a father or mother, you say you don't. You're alive because you would be the first one suing the school, because if somehow your daughter or son, because the school should have. We know the graph I got on the screen. That's why I love that. We know that this happening, and the notion. Well, y'all don't have. You mean to tell me my dog's in school? We know that these school shootings going on across have happened in the United States of America, and y'all didn't have no protection, and y'all didn't protect my daughter and my son. Y'all didn't provide no security. You're not living in fear. You're living in common sense, fully, because you know in America we can pray all we want. We go to church all we want to. There's school shooting happening. Ain't got nobody now. There's schools, and now schools do different things because of the facts. I ain't got nobody right, because of the fact of the matter that we got data to prove and the dead bodies to prove that people in school. So is that a hoax? Is Sandy Hook's a hoax? Is Columbine a hoax? Is Santa Fe a hoax? Is Virginia Tech a hoax? Is that a lie that somebody come up with? No. Different schools have different protocols now because we got data and evidence and dead bodies, unfortunately.
That's right.
That says that we got to have protection now. We can't think like we did back in the 80s and the 70s. These are the 2000s, and people go to schools, and unfortunately, they shoot kids for nothing. This is a fact. And so I'm not walking in fear by saying that I want the school as a teacher, and you're the child. You're not walking in fear by saying you want the school to have some protection for your child. It's not based on a hoax. It's a reality. So, you know, here's another one. Told you I wasn't ready for tonight. If guns, talking about fear, right? All y'all talking about fear, the coronavirus, right? What you do, and most of y'all have guns. Why? Do you have a gun? Jesus said, "Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword." You know what he was saying? He didn't say it was wrong to have the sword, but he said, if you live by living, means he said, if you operate your life by killing everything that come in, you're going to end up dying by it. Not that the sword. And so all these people who are saying, don't fear coronavirus, you have a gun, most likely, because statistics show if we have a ventilator problem, right, Bishop? We have a ventilator problem in this country. But guess what? If the guns was ventilator, every American would have a ventilator. Do you see the numbers? We have 393 million guns and 326, this was 17. So we got like 400 million guns and a few more million American people. And guess what? If every American would have a ventilator, we would not have no ventilator if it was guns. And so when you talk about fear, these same church folks who talk about fear and what you should do, you packing your gun. So are you living in fear?
That's
Why aren't
right.
you just trusting God? Won't you just leave your house door open like, oh, but no, I'm talking, oh, but see, then I'm talking foolish. No, you're talking foolish too by saying that you should go out there. You have a virus, this asymptomatic, you don't know where it's at. So you're talking foolish too. If you, come on, if I'm talking foolish by leaving your door, I'm like, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, I would be, you'll be say it, don't say it. I would be tempting God. Well, that's exactly what you're telling
That's
people
right.
to do.
That's
And the same
right.
as, come on, man. Come on, are you still, you're done. You're not gonna leave your house door open. And you got your guns, because the statistics show that most Americans got them. We got more guns than per capita than any people in civilized countries. And so guess what? You're not throwing them guns away. But if we had as many ventilators, now we had guns, it can help somebody. But your gun can help somebody, but you're not giving up your gun. Why? Or is it because you living in fear?
That's right.
Throw your guns out and just say, okay, I'm just gonna trust God. I'm just gonna believe God. Because that's what you want me to do. You want me to walk in a grocery store. You want me to go to church, but I ain't got nobody now, bitch. Shit. You want me to walk around? Just trust God. I don't need I'm just gonna trust God that you don't steal it. I'm just gonna trust God you don't come into my house. I'm just gonna leave my door open. Let everybody, I'm just gonna put my kids at risk. The same thing. Because you're saying, God, you're foolish. You're talking. You make no common sense. You look weak. You look inept. You look incompetent, because it doesn't make any sense, because you have data information knowing people have guns in their homes to protect themselves.
That's
because
right.
they had data shows you. You just bought a home. You can look. I think you did it while you can look and see the crime. And people make decisions on buying a home based on the crime. And then are they living in fear?
You mean based on data, Bishop?
Yeah, based on that. See, you can't have it both ways. You can't act like coronavirus did it. You said it, if coronavirus is a known make you sick and it is a possible killer, then you got to do your protect yourself. No different than you protect your family from possible break-ins, to protect your children, protect your wife. You know, they say in Texas that particularly a woman at home, they say, you know what? If they put 1 foot in your house and you husband now, you can take them out. And they say if you kill them in the yard, just drag them inside.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
On the airline practice in fear, Bishop G, you fly all the time. I fly all the time.
I do.
So hold on. If the airline practice in fear, because this is a post 9. I remember pre 9/11. How you can almost pretty much whip it to the airport. They'll still check for, but it ain't like it is now.
That's right.
So are the airlines practicing fear, or am I walking in or riding an airline in fear because they check for weapons on the plane? So you don't want that to happen either? Because we're just gonna trust God that people we wouldn't have guns, and so
I'm gonna name it and claim it, Bishop. I'm
at 40,000 feet, and this person got a gun because we just trusting God. So you want the airlines to stop checking people for guns on the plane? No, you don't.
No.
So because you know why? It's not because you have fear. If you have common sense, you know if a person on the airline have a weapon and a gun, that is a very, very, very dangerous situation. You're on an airplane. You're not walking in fear. And so the airlines do this so people wouldn't be put at risk unnecessarily because some crackpot will bring a gun on the plane. So are we walking in fear? So this notion that you're supposed to put yourself, so you wouldn't want to take that risk. You want to go through TSA. You want to take that risk. So the notion that because of a building that we call church, because the people are supposed to take unnecessary risks to prove something, and the same people who are saying you need to do this, you want to get on, you would sue the airlines if the airlines just let people get on the airplane without checking them for weapons. But then you go to church, it doesn't matter. You put yourself at risk and people at risk.
Yep.
Trying to break this down to you. Stop this heresy. Stop this lie. Stop this buffoonery. This is a disease, a virus that's sweeping the nation. No matter where it comes from, no matter how it got here, it is here. We must deal with it. You must deal with the honesty. You must deal with credibility. You must deal with leadership, love. Understanding that we're gonna be all right. But the notion that it doesn't matter, or people should just do anything because to prove something to God, that's just heresy.
Yeah,
That's just what it is.
and all I'm asking is just be consistent.
Yeah.
That's all I want from you. That's all I want from my church leadership. That's all I want from Christians, right? Jesus has been so consistent with us, right? I don't understand why, and I love the correlation to. I mean, I'm a gun owner, Bishop. I have guns. Does that mean I don't love or trust God? No, I have seen the nastiness of humanity, and I know that my deadbolt may not stop someone who wants to come in here and hurt my family. So my choice is to have guns. Now, do I do it responsibly? Of course I do, right? But that doesn't make me less of a Christian because I've decided to protect myself in that way, right? Just like if you choose not to have guns, I don't care.
But
right?
to your point about when you're dealing with fear, you're not shaking.
No.
You're not shaking. You understand the world that you live in, and
Right.
the world you live in, you're pretty much irresponsible if you didn't have that type of protection. You don't live by it. It is for your self-defense and the defense of your family. So you're not living in fear.
Right.
And that's my point. Miss me with this. I'm okay. So John G is supposed to protect his family. That's okay. But you don't supposed to protect your family by going out and get coronavirus by putting yourself.
Come on.
Come on, man. Come on. You sound stupid. You're dumb. That's just. I mean, I'm just sorry. They're just dumb. That doesn't make no sense. So you supposed to because this is a conspiracy, because this is a lie. This is a hoax. You supposed to put yourself at risk and take it to your kids. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Yeah, and furthermore, I've said this on every podcast I've done this week. I'll say it here. Don't get on my page. Don't come near me. Don't tell me you're pro-life and you're about people coming to your church with the possibility of getting infected with coronavirus and killing people. You ain't pro-life. You're anti-abortion. Miss me with that crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Either be consistent, because scripture is consistent. Your God is consistent. Either be consistent and be pro-life from cradle to grave, or don't. Or just say you're anti-abortion. That's okay too. If that's how you want to be, that's fine. Right? I'm fine with that. But don't tell me you're pro-life and then put your whole church at risk. Like you said, Bishop, you can miss me with that mess.
Yeah. And understand that as human beings, we're elastic. We're elastic. We can stretch. We can stretch and grow without breaking. You try something elastic, it pulls a bit, then it go back in shape. We can meet this moment. Church, get outside the box. The church, nothing. Here is the thing that these crackpots won't tell you. These fear mongers won't tell you. Nothing has changed about the church.
Nothing.
He said, "Go you therefore to uttermost parts of the earth, preaching the gospel." Peter preached he said that the elect exiled, that are scattered abroad. Nothing has changed about a building. You going to a building or not did not change anything about the mission of the church. But see, that's the thing. We're not mission orientated. We are social club orientated. We miss our social club. We miss our entertainment center. We miss our performance. We miss that. But the mission of the church is to seek the Good Samaritan. Who Jesus said, who is my neighbor? He said, do this, do likewise. The Good Samaritan was out there amongst thieves, taking care of a man that had been taken by thieves and beat almost till he died. He was doing his ministry. I said, Jesus, his greatest sermon was not preached in the synagogue. His greatest sermon was preached on the side of a mountain, walking down the road when he rebuked Peter. His healings was out there on the countryside where he was doing the ministry. The church, the mission, nothing has stopped. What we're upset about is our normalcy. What we're upset about is that we got to change. What we're upset about is that we don't want to understand what God is doing to the church and his building, and says, don't limit me. Do not limit me to a building. Do not limit me to a space. Do not limit me. I am God, and nothing in this world. COVID-19 cannot change the mission of God. COVID-19 can only change and expose the deviousness of mankind. And that's what is exposed. So you people who are challenging people, if it's a building, as any endorsed or any authority on what God is doing, worship together. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, worship God.
That's
Praise
right.
God. Your worship shouldn't stop. But we don't want to think outside the box, because we have faith, and we've idolized the building. We've idolized the social club. We've idolized, and we don't want to stretch, and we don't want to grow. We don't want to think outside the box. And it's just we don't want to move beyond the barriers of the four.
Right. Well, and we're comfortable inside our four walls. Yeah. This is how we've done church since the 1600s, and maybe the Lord's telling you that the way we're doing church is archaic. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to move into a different arena. The church has always grown most. You think it's grown most when they've got their rights and they can gather and do whatever they want. The church always grows best under pressure, right? Diamonds created by pressure, gold refined by fire, right? I didn't come up with this. This is scripture, right? The pressure creates an amazing body of Christ that goes out and does things. So instead of maybe focusing on your paycheck and how am I going to pay for the building, how am I going to, I think a better question to ask is how are you going to reach the lost, the confused, and the hurting because there's a lot of people hurting right now. But churches, we're silent on that. We don't want to talk about that. There's a ton of people out there in pain right now, watching their loved ones die. And maybe instead of arguing why we should or shouldn't go to church, maybe we should be trying to figure out how can I serve that? How can I serve that person? How can I be there for people, like God said to do? Right. God never said focus on building the church and making this really pretty building and making sure you got a good choir, got to have a good speaker, and then pass that offering plate around. Make sure we do that. Those are not requirements in the gospel. The requirements of the gospel is that we love our neighbor as ourselves. These very simple things. How are you loving your neighbor as yourself right now? You doing anything for them, or are you just sitting there complaining because you can't hear your choir or you can't be in your church building? And that's sick. That is an atrophied faith. Your faith is sick and it needs the Bible. It needs the gospel of Jesus Christ. You got to refresh your faith. Where you're at right now is you're sick. Your faith is sick. There's no other.
In a moment of suffering, only thing you got to do is criticize. In a moment of suffering, now we want to have these challenges that people face. Faith in a moment of suffering. We want to determine who has fear, don't have fear. In a moment of suffering and crisis, now you want to people to prove something. In a moment, no, it's time to speak up to that type of things when there is not crisis. But in the midst of crisis, in the midst of despair, in the midst of desolation, now it's time to understand that I'm not going to be confined.
That's right.
I'm not going to be confined by a building. I'm going to find God. I'm going to find a way to praise God anyway. I'm not going to let this situation, I'm not going to let Corona confine me.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not confine me because I'm going to praise God anyhow. I heard a person say with cancer, I'm not going to let cancer define me. I heard a person that's in prison. I talked to inmates when I was a Christian. I'm not going to let prison define me. It doesn't matter where I said, I'm not going to be confined. This is just a new paragraph. I'm not going to be a footnote in history, but rather a paragraph of who I'm becoming, who I'm becoming. This is going to make me a better preacher, better. This is not going to be confined. I'm not going to be trying to people who are suffering right now. This is a moment where the church is lifting people up because ain't none of us among us would want this virus. None of us would take place of anybody who has the virus. But the notion that I would ridicule anyway, the notion that I would put this down anyway, it doesn't matter how it got here or what you call it, how you define it, when it comes, it is here. We dealing with it. Doesn't matter about the people. The Sandy Hook shooting, 20 kids got killed that day. It happened. We can't get those kids back. So we got to do things different. So the moment right now is to be what God has said, to love your neighbor. The moment right now is the Good Samaritan did not go down and start interrogating the person who was caught and beat up by the thieves. The Bible said he helped him. He mended his wounds, took him to the place of help, said, come back later, said, if he needs anything, I'm going to come back and pay you again. That's what this moment in crisis is. It's a time for nourishment. It's time to build up. It's not a time to prove your theology. It's not the time to prove your intellectual ability. It's not trying to prove who's right or who's wrong. This is not nothing to play with. This is not a game of hide and seek. Well, you lost it there and tag your. This is not a virtual game where you can play what's the game for and then you're gonna come back to life. No, this is a killer, like you said. This is something that's deadly. This is not to play with them. I don't believe in snake-holder religion. I'm not going to play with snakes just to please you. I'm not going to play with snakes just to define myself for you. I'm not going to play with snakes just to prove that that I got to walk with God, or talk with God. No, I'm not messing with that. If one bites me, I'm unaware of it. I believe God's going to take care of me, but I'm not going to go pick up snake. I'm not going to go get on top of a building to try to prove that gravity don't exist. Are you serious? So therefore, this is a moment of uplift. This is a moment of meaning. This is a moment when people who are used to something don't have it. So the leader's supposed to come in and say, God is still able. So are we saying by not going to a church building that God is defined by that building? What are we saying? What message are we saying? Mm-hmm. Because we claim the greater is in he that is in you than he that's in the world. Well, do we truly believe that?
Yeah.
But no, here it is. This is about money, power, control, domination, oppression. Some of you need to be pleased right now that you've been advised to lead the oppression place of your church, the house of oppression. You said the house of liberation, but you just impressed, you're brainwashed, you're indoctrinated, you're really not free. And that's what they're real to, because they say, the problem with these pastors right now, the reason why they're shaking, because they don't have control of you now.
That's right.
And then they want to make it a government versus us battle.
Yeah.
Put you at risk. No, as I said many times, this is a broken world, as you said. Mm-hmm. And right now in this world, what the secret is that people want to say is God is in control on the throne. Mm-hmm. But in this world, coronavirus is driving decisions. Now you might not want to admit that. It's no different than Jesus denying that the Roman Empire, that he as a Jewish was not under Roman Empire as a citizen of Rome. He was a subject of Rome. They was under Roman domination. He was the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, but they put him on a Roman cross. Jews did not crucify him; Romans did, because he was under Roman domination. You said it. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter, coronavirus is here. Mm-hmm. You can't change that.
That's right.
Jesus was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, but you know what? He was meek, because you know what meekness means. And say, what I'm not seeing from none of y'all is you're not meek. See, meekness is when you have power, but you don't use it. See, Jesus had all power, but he was meek. He wasn't weak, he was meek. He said, I could destroy you, but I'm going to let you do what you do because I got a greater mission. See, when you meek, you lift people up, even though that you have the power and the ability to sway them, to mess things up. But you say, you know what? I'm going to be meek and say, you know what? It's okay if you can't come to the building. We're going to still do something anyway.
Yeah.
Think outside the box and let's show love. This is not the time to argue and to prove points. This is a time of desolation. This is time of despair. This is time of unsureness, anxiety. This is time to truly be a man and woman of God and not of despair.
Yep. This is your opportunity, church. Like this is an opportunity like no other to be outside of the building and speak to people who don't believe like you, look like you, act like you. This is your opportunity to show what being a Christian is all about. And instead of doing that, we're arguing about being in the building or not being in the building. And that's just sad. It's just sad.
Well, man, straight out of context. Yeah. It's just, we just got to make sure that we're gonna always keep it real here, because ultimately we got to we're gonna answer to God. And I want the answer I want to give is the God that I was there for uplift of the people, and we have to go through this and we got to deal with this, and so we need to be a voice of reason, and since that people can come to and say, you know what, there is hope. Coronavirus can't touch hope. Mm-hmm. Surely can't touch God. And it surely is, that's who the God we serve. The God that said he'll never leave us or forsake us. Do we believe the scriptures or not?
That's right.
That's what we're going to find out. So God bless you, and we thank you. And man, we just want to keep it real, and we'll be back next week. Oh, some things we got going. Talk about the book. We done with the book, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the editing process now, and the book will be out almost as promised. Looking at late spring, early summer release. We want to make sure we do it right. We do it the right way. And we don't take money from people. So we, everything we do, we self-support, which is fine because that's how we do things. And I think it's how it should be. Bivocational pastors, you should be making your own money. You shouldn't have to make all your money off your flock. And so that's what we do here. So the book's coming out. We're really excited about the book. We think it's going to be a blessing to people out there. It's a really good way to look at, two guys who come from very, very different backgrounds, through the lens of Christ and knowing Christ and loving Christ, have come to respect one another, love one another. And even though we don't agree on everything, we do acknowledge that Jesus is Lord, and that's what makes us brothers. We agree on a lot, or we probably wouldn't have the show the way it is. But some things, and that's okay. And I think what the book is going to do is it's going to show people that America has lost the art of debate. We just want to argue now. That's all we want to do. We don't speak. We don't debate to hear people. We debate to be heard. Yeah. Our desire to have our needs met and what we want to say heard is now far more important than hearing and understanding. And so that, the book, I think the book's going to be a blessing, and we're really excited about it. We got Kingdom Builders podcast where you can get some sermons, both from me and Bishop Aaron. We're working on putting up a whole sermon series that he did. A couple things that I've done. And then we have the Bishop Brothers podcast where, if you can't hit Facebook Live or you miss it here, or you're in your car and you can't YouTube in the car, we have the podcast here. And also we have another new one that we're doing called Pulpit Perpetrators, where and some of the faces you saw on some of the screens today, I guarantee the next one coming out tomorrow, his face was absolutely on that screen. So looking forward to the hate mail about, because people get really sensitive when you make fun of their prosperity theology preacher. But I'll just say it, their theology's trash. And if you're going to spew that nonsense, then you're going to get called out. So Pulpit Perpetrators is out. It's out on Apple Podcast. It's doing pretty good, actually. So we'll see. It's just something we're trying. We want to give you guys different avenues to get a little bit of this truth in your life, because we believe the gospel of Jesus Christ will set you free in so many different ways, and we just want to be a blessing to you guys.
And man, we try and do something like you see the screen tonight. We put the PowerPoint present on the screen so you can read them and you can be more involved and actually see the quotes, particularly when using scripture. It's good to show you and different have. We're trying to raise our game up and make sure better and better, and we'll get better and better. And we're going to get to the point where we can simulcast, not only be on Facebook, but be on YouTube and Twitter, Twitch, and maybe another platforms. At least we can be up to 5 platforms at the same time. So because a lot of people use a lot of different platforms, so we want to make sure we hit the audience. And don't forget about our YouTube channel, where all our videos, Bishop Brothers shows on the YouTube channel. You can download those and see those shows on demand. So we try to be live on demand, but we're just growing, and we just thank God for the place and the space that God has for us, and to be able to for you to take the time out to listen to us, to speak the truth to power, and speak the truth in love and grace. And most of all, be about the people, because that's what this all about, the people. And God has called us 2 people from different backgrounds, but with a familiar background as far as our life experiences, to bring together 2 people that, unlikely shouldn't be, but God thought fit to be. And that's why I'm so excited about the book, because they're going to really tell the story how God brought us together, looking past all the things that man say we shouldn't be, but we are who God is. So Bishop Brothers is only growing and getting bigger and stronger, and because of you, and we thank you for sharing it. And please tell people about the Facebook page, our Tuesday shows, and we'll be here through the duration, because as you can see, COVID-19 not going to stop us from having Bishop Brothers. We're right. 1,000 miles apart, but we're together on this screen and here for you, and we love you, and God bless you.
Yeah, amen.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Bishop Brothers. Make sure to visit our page, Bishop Brothers, where you can like and follow so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, please tell a friend about the show. The brothers salute you. Until we meet again, Godspeed.